Okay, so it should have happened this way. Sometimes people think, well, it was supposed to happen like this. Jacob was supposed to trick his dad and get Esau's blessing. Okay, this is Mrs. Yu. This is the wife of the former president of the church in Korea who wrote the Exposition to Divine Principle. She's the one that did all the underlining, different colours. Anyway, it's what she said. Jacob tricked Esau twice in order to take Esau's elder sonship. Once with lentil stew, and tricked him again when he received Isaac's blessing. However, that actually wasn't the correct way according to the principle. So what Jacob did was wrong. Had Jacob wanted to inherit the rights of the elder son, he should have served and behaved well to his older brother, as I explained before. Then the elder son's heart would have been moved and he would have said, "Yes, you're not only smarter than me, but better in every other aspect. So you should be my older brother." If Jacob brought his older brother into natural subjugation like this, so much could have been saved in the course of indemnity. Wow. Okay, so I explain this story, tell this story very differently than the way you were told this story. And people started moaning at me. Why don't you teach it the way everybody else teaches it? So I said, okay, let's go by it. Let's see what Father said. Let's see what Mrs. Yu said about it. Okay, so should have been mother-son cooperation. Well, Rebecca should have restored Eve and Sarah's role by helping her sons to love each other. Eve didn't do that, Cain killed Abel. Rebecca then favoured Jacob, and that caused problems in this Jacob and Esau relationship. But anyway, at least she saved Jacob's life by sending him to Haran. So what's Eve's responsibility? The way of the mother Eve was to unite Cain and Abel and bring them to Adam. Okay, so Rebecca then says to Jacob, "Go and stay with my brother, Uncle Laban, until Esau calms down, then you can come home." So Jacob then sets off to stay with Uncle Laban. But before he goes to say goodbye to Dad. He goes in to greet Esau, Isaac, and say, "Dad, I'm going off to Haran, and I'm going to go and stay there." And then, while Jacob is there, then Isaac blesses him. And Isaac says to Jacob, "May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and increase your numbers until you become a community of peoples. May he give you and your descendants the blessing given to Abraham, so you may take possession of the land where you now live as an alien, the land God gave to Abraham." So what do you think about the content of this blessing?
Spiritual. It's spiritual.
This is the blessing God gave to Adam, to Noah, and to Abraham. Be fruitful, multiply, take dominion, have the land, the blessing given to Abraham. So this is the birthright blessing. Make sense?
Yes.
So what went wrong?
He got both blessings.
He got those blessings. He not only got, so Isaac had it all worked out in his head. One blessing for Esau, one blessing for Jacob. He had it all worked out in his head, but he didn't what? Communicate. Didn't discuss it with his wife. Okay? He had it all worked out perfectly well. Sometimes people say Isaac was blind and stupid and this, that, that's why Rebecca had to do this. No, actually Isaac had it all worked out in his head. Exactly the way it's supposed to be. The only problem is he didn't communicate and explain it to Rebecca. Yeah, that's the only problem. So when Rebecca overheard Isaac saying to Esau, "I'm going to give you my blessing," she thought, "Stupid old man. He's going to go and give everything to Esau when I think my favourite son Jacob should get everything based upon the revelation I got when I was pregnant." Yes? Did Rebecca respect her husband? No, probably. Okay. So these are the sort of things you can see. So Isaac had it all worked out, and he wanted to give one blessing to Esau, one blessing to Isaac, Jacob, and that's why when Isaac realized what had happened, then that's why in the Bible it says Isaac gave a terrible cry. He realized this is a complete and utter disaster. Because Jacob has taken Esau's blessing, Esau's going to be so upset and angry, he's probably going to kill him, just like Cain killed Abel. Isaac realized this is a disaster. That's why he cried, yeah, and why Esau wept, yeah, because they realized this is almost repeating what went wrong. Satan has invaded, yeah. Makes sense? Yeah. So Isaac had it all worked out. And,
How do you see that Isaac wanted to give a blessing to both?
Well,
Where do you see that?
Well, because Isaac wanted to give one blessing to Esau about being wealthy and the sons of your mother bowing down to you. And this is the blessing that Isaac gave to Jacob. So Isaac had one blessing prepared for Esau and one blessing prepared for Jacob. This is the blessing that Isaac prepared for Jacob, this blessing, the birthright blessing. Isaac knew that Jacob had bought the birthright. Abraham told Isaac, Jacob is the one who is worthy of getting the birthright blessing. He knew that, that's from the Talmud. Okay, so Isaac was going to give Jacob this blessing, which is the blessing that belonged to the person who had the birthright. The only problem was, Isaac didn't explain to Rebekah. So naturally, Isaac wanted to bless both his sons. If Isaac had only blessed Jacob, how do you think Esau would have felt? Yeah. Isaac wanted Esau to be happy with wealth and power, which is what he's interested in. So when Isaac gave Jacob a blessing, Esau wouldn't feel jealous. Yes?
I thought it was the same for...
Sorry?
I thought that Isaac was going to give both to Esau. But I will read this again, all this chapter.
Read the Bible.
Yes.
It's all there.
I will read it.
Yeah?
Okay.
If he wanted to give both to Esau, then he would have, then when Esau came in later, he would have given Esau this blessing. But he didn't.
Okay.
He didn't want to give Esau this blessing, because it wasn't Esau's blessing. Esau did not have a right to this blessing. So even when Esau came in and said, Dad, isn't there another blessing you have that you can give me? And Isaac said no. Because he couldn't give Esau Jacob's blessing. That's why, that makes sense?
Okay.
But what kind of blessing did he give when he thought Jacob was Esau?
Yeah.
Okay, then he gave, so he
He
gave to
gave
Esau.
the Esau's blessing.
Yes, if you actually read the blessing that Isaac gave to Esau, it's like more like a curse than a blessing.
That you showed before.
No.
No, you didn't show.
Okay, the blessing...
We need to...
I think you showed it before.
You did.
Well, okay, this is... This is the blessing that Isaac wanted to give to Esau, that Jacob stole, about wealth and power.
Yeah, okay.
Then when Esau does come in, he says to Dad, there's a big, really emotional, moving conversation, because Esau's heartbroken, and Isaac is really, this is terrible, and then he begs his father, and Isaac does say some words, but I didn't put them up, because it's,
Yeah, okay.
can't do everything.
Makes
But,
sense.
what do you think? Okay, so, this is it, okay? So Jacob and Esau need to make the foundation of substance. So by Jacob stealing Esau's blessing, does it make it easier for Esau to overcome his fallen nature? No. Jacob, is he a good Abel or a good younger brother or a bad younger brother?
Bye.
Bad younger brother, okay? Not very nice to go around behaving this kind of way. All right, you can look at our own spiritual, yes.
I just wonder, I hope it doesn't confuse too much, but you've been talking about the second blessing of Abraham when he is ready to sacrifice Isaac.
Okay.
And Abram and Sarah, Sarai, first went to Egypt as a preparation for an offering, and then laid this offering in cutting the animals, where he failed. And then he was commanded to go to Gerar to do exactly the same thing as he had done with Pharaoh. And then he is ready to offer Isaac. But then Isaac and Rebecca going to also to the land of Gerar with Abimelech, the same thing they had done in Egypt
Mhm.
with Pharaoh.
Yeah, uh-huh.
What offering is that related to?
It's not related to an offering. Rebecca is also going through the same situation where she also has to restore the position of Eve, go through similar sort of temptations and challenges that Eve went through as part of the gradual purification of the lineage. Rebecca facing a similar kind of temptation, but overcoming that temptation.
I was just wondering, because when Abraham and Sarai went to Egypt, then Abraham and Sarah went to Abimelech. And I thought they were a couple, so that was a preparation for the offering to come. So I was just wondering, it's not that Isaac and Rebecca is laying the foundation for them or for Isaac to make an offering later.
I mean, I prefer to look at these stories in terms of the restoration of lineage, overcoming fallen nature in a particular kind of relationship. There's Archangel, Adam, Eve relationship. So I prefer to look at it as each one having its own kind of distinct value and meaning and challenge, as opposed to just, oh, it's a preparation for that. I think it's valuable in itself. I think these things are incredibly meaningful and valuable in themselves, as opposed to just a preparation.
No, I just thought both. I mean,
Yeah, anyway, I'm only here for the weekend, so to be honest, I'm leaving most of it out. There's lots of other things, I'm just leaving it all out, okay? I didn't bother with the animals, it's just not interesting. One can teach everything superficially, or you can just try and pick a few things and go through it in a bit more depth. So that's all I'm doing here, just going through some things and leaving out lots of other things.
This is the preparation for the next workshop when
That's
it's
right.
coming.
I mean, normally just to go through these stories, it take me a whole week. I'm just trying to go through them very quickly in 2 days, so I left lots of it out. Okay, so in terms of our own spiritual community, similar things going on here. Who got anointed and appointed 3 times?
The bold man.
Yes, old name or H2 or whatever you want to call it. You got anointed and appointed, okay? How did H1 feel? Difficult, okay? So what are you supposed to do? When you get anointed and appointed, what should you do? 3 times. Who's the older brother? Who's the younger brother?
Preston is the older brother.
Right, Sean is the younger brother.
Right.
Okay, so what's the younger brother supposed to do?
Say yes.
Go to the older brother and talk to him.
Yes, the younger brother should go along, as Father said about what Abel should have done to Cain. Remember? God accepted Abel's offering. Abel should have gone to Cain and said, I really don't like God. He gave me this, accepted my offering and rejected yours. I'm not happy about this at all, yes? What should H2 have done? He got anointed and appointed 3 times, but what he should have done next, he should have gone to his older brother and said, older brother, Preston, looking up to him, you're amazing. You've been doing all this frontline stuff, you've been World Cup and UPF and this and this for all these years, and all these years you're working hard supporting true parents on the front line. I was plain and being a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Sitting in a monastery, going to visit the Dalai Lama. I had no idea what was going on in the Unification Church. I don't even understand the Bible, the principle, which he doesn't. It's true. Well, he should have said to his older brother, Father anointed and appointed me to this job. I haven't a clue what to do. I don't know what to do. I have no experience. Can you please help me? Can you please guide me? Without your help, I cannot do it. Unless you agree to support and help me, I'm going to go and tell Dad I'm not doing it. And if he'd gone and approached Preston like that, what do you think Preston would have done? Helped him. You think Preston's a bad person?
No.
You think he would have looked after and supported his younger brother like this? And tried to do things together?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's what should have happened. Yeah, they don't understand these stories. They really misunderstand these stories. These stories have been so badly taught, okay, and misunderstood. That's what he should have done. But have gone to his older brother and said that. Then I'm sure his older brother said, yeah, I can explain to you, this is the way it works. These are all the problems in our movement. This is the way the Korean elders are like this, and this is the corruption here, this is this and this. I tried to improve things and it didn't work out, and this and this happened, and that's why I went and took UCI over to here. Okay? But H2, He didn't do that. He didn't do anything. He didn't go and see his older brother. He made no effort to have any rapprochement with his older brother. Instead, he thought, oh, I'm going to go and make myself in charge of UPF as well. Who was in charge of UPF up until then? Preston. I'm not going to just take my blessing. I'm going to go and take his blessing too. Yes? That's what happened. Okay.
I don't know if it's accurate. Is that accurate, or did his father give him that
No, he took it, and father said it should be reversed, but it never was. So I don't know. He ended up becoming president of UPF, as well as the Family Federation. He became president of UPF, which is what had been under Reverend Quark and Preston up until then. The whole area of, GPF and all this sort of areas under UPF, Preston's responsibility. So Sean then, when it took, Preston's whole area as well got himself made in charge of all that. And then he goes along, and he tries, then afterwards, he tries to change, he goes to the Korean church, he realizes, gosh, everything's really bad, and he tries to go around changing it, and it doesn't work. Anyway, in the end he goes off to Pennsylvania. Okay? Whereas if he'd worked together with his older brother could have said, this is the way it works. If you try and do that, that's going to happen. You understand? I met, Sean several times. He came to London, I was his driver. I drove him around London. I talked to him, and my main feeling was, this young boy is so naive. He hasn't got a clue the way the Unification Church functions. He has no idea about the politics or anything else. Yeah? Completely naive, because I wasn't involved. And then he gets involved, and he finds it's not the way he thinks it's supposed to be. He tries to do that, and it doesn't work out. He goes off to Pennsylvania, and now he's standing there giving all these ranting, lectures and things about all these evil people, because he just didn't understand the way things were. That makes sense? Made the same mistake basically that Jacob made. So Jacob then ended up having to go to Haran. Should Jacob have had to go to Haran? Well, what did Father say? Some people say, yes, of course, it's all part of God's plan. He goes to Haran for 21 years, but no. Did Jacob was able to really become one with Esau as his Cain, thus subjugating Satan completely? Not originally. Jacob should have won his blessing in his native home in total harmony with Esau, and not have had to go to Haran. However, he had to escape from the danger brought about by Esau's intention to kill him. Thus, the condition of indemnity was not completed. So Jacob then made mistakes by first of all getting the birthright just by buying it instead of winning it, and then he stole Esau's blessing, which he should never have taken in the first place. And so that's why he had to flee for his life to Haran, because he didn't make the condition of indemnity to restore what was needed to be restored. Going to Haran for 21 years was a mistake. It should never have happened. Yeah? So he goes off to Haran and spends 21 years with Uncle Laban, which we'll come to later. While he's there, he restores the 3 blessings. I'll explain in a minute. Anyway, so what's the first thing that happens? He arrives in Haran, and he goes to the well, and he sees this beautiful young girl, and he says, who are you? And she says, Rachel. And he finds out she's his cousin, his love at first sight, and he goes home and says to her father, Laban, can I please marry your daughter? And Laban says, yeah, sure, why not? You just need to work for me for 7 years, and then you can marry Rachel. So Jacob works for 7 years, and the Bible it says, 7 years passed like 7 days. Oh, so romantic. Because he was so much in love with Rachel, time just flew by. 7 years later, it's a wedding day. He gets married to this lady who's covered in all these veils like they are in the Middle East. And he gets married to her, and they go into the bridal chamber, and the next morning he wakes up, and who's he married to? Leah, older sister. And he's really upset. Yeah? Really upset. So when morning came, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, what is this you've done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me? No irony there. Laban said, this is not done in our country, giving the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also. Return for serving me for another 7 years. So this is not done in our country. So what Laban is saying here in the Hebrew is a very clear reproach. You deceived your dad and you deceived your older brother. We don't do that here. Yeah? We don't treat our older brothers or older sisters the way that you treated your older brother. That's what he's saying. That's the Hebrew. So during these 7 years, you can imagine Laban would have, found out, written a letter to, or an email to his, sister Rebecca. Jacob just turned up on the doorstep yesterday. What's happening? Well, weren't expecting him, and the story would have come out, and he was okay. So Jacob deceived his older brother and his father, and the father and older daughter deceived Jacob. So Jacob then has been reminded that the way he treated his father and his older brother was wrong. So if he hadn't stolen Esau's blessing, Jacob would have married at the right time and only had one wife. Yeah? He should only marry. How many wives should Jacob have had? One. How many wives did Abraham have? One.
Well,
Okay. One wife, the other one was a surrogate. After Sarah died, then Abraham found Hagar and had a lot more children together. Okay, so how many wives did Isaac have? One. So that was the tradition that was being established. One man, one woman. One husband, one wife. Okay? So it was a mistake then for Jacob to have two wives. And, the reason is because he deceived his brother, and had to flee for his life. And so he realized, okay, what goes around comes around. This is what we talk about, law of karma. Okay? Because he deceived his brother, that's why he got deceived. And now now I understand why my brother was so upset and angry with me. Yes? You sort of start realizing, okay, why does this happen to me? Oh, maybe it's because of that sort of thing going on. So Jacob then went into Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. How do you think Leah felt? Very painful. In the Hebrew, it's not. He hated Leah. A very complicated relationship here between Rachel and Leah. Very, very complicated. I don't know if I have time to go into today. That's well worth looking into. Okay, so why did Jacob have two wives? Arranged to marry Rachel, ended up marrying Leah. Jacob said, why did you deceive me? Laban says, not done a thing in our place to give the younger before the elder. So basically what goes around comes around. It's like a sort of karma. And so later on, 10 times Laban cheated Jacob out of his wages. So this went on for a long time. And Jacob, unlike Esau, didn't want to go and kill Laban. So Jacob realized, actually, what has happened to me is a punishment, you could say, for what I did to my older brother. So he digested all this, and he reflected about it and came to terms with it all. And so, as the years went by, Father said, Jacob felt sorry for what he'd done to his elder brother. He thought it was understandable for Esau to want to kill him when he'd taken away the birthright by cheating. And he was sympathetic with his brother. He didn't take the birthright by cheating. It's Esau's blessing he took by cheating. Okay, 21 years go by, and during this time, Jacob becomes a person of deep character and deep heart, and then he goes off 21 years later, 2 wives, lots of kids, and he goes home to meet Esau. So Jacob sends messengers before him to his brother Esau, saying, I have sent to tell you, my lord, in order that I might find favour in your sight. In other words, I'm coming home, been away for 20 years, please put on a party. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to your brother Esau, and he's coming to meet you, and 400 men with him. Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed. So Jacob then, he realized, my brother Esau hasn't forgiven me. He's still as bearing a grudge after 21 years. He's coming to meet with 400 men. But what could Jacob have done at this point?
Gone back.
He could have gone back to Haran, yes. Or he could have done what?
Raised an army.
Hmm?
Could have raised an army himself.
Yeah. Or,
Apologize.
yes, that's what he ended up doing. We'll come to that. Or he could have said, okay, if that's the way Esau feels, I won't go to meet him. I'll just bypass him and go straight home to see mom and dad. Yes? Sometimes that's the way it is. We think, oh, that person doesn't want to meet me. Okay, well, that's the way he feels about it. I just won't go and meet him. But Jacob, though, he felt, actually, I offended my older brother. I stole my older brother's blessing. I need to go and restore my relationship with my older brother at the risk of my life. Even if he wants to try and kill me, at the risk of my life, I have to go and put right what I have done. So Jacob then, after all these years, as father said, he realized he'd made a mistake and done wrong in stealing Esau's blessing. And he felt, I have to go and restore the sin that I committed. I have to go and give back the blessing that I stole from my brother. I have to go restore my relationship with my brother, even at the risk of my life. And so he came up with a strategy. He divided everything he had into two, sent gifts to Esau, and the person bringing along the flock of sheep, when Esau said, whose are they? Esau said, Jacob, the shepherd said, they belong to your servant Jacob. They're a present sent to my Lord, and he is coming behind us. And Jacob thought, maybe I can appease him, I can make him happy with a present, a blessing that goes before me, and afterwards I shall see his face, and perhaps he'll accept me. And then the night before, Jacob then is wrestling with an angel. Okay, what do you think is really going on here? What is Jacob really wrestling with?
With himself.
With himself. He's wrestling with his fears. Do you think he feels afraid to go meet Esau?
Yes.
If he goes to meet Esau, trembling and afraid, what's going to happen?
No chance.
Will Esau respect him? Will he look lovable? If a dog smells that you're afraid, what does it do? Attacks you. Yes? So Jacob then, he has to go and be reconciled with his brother. That means Jacob needs to be at peace with himself. And if he's at peace with himself, he'll radiate peace and he'll create an atmosphere of peace. And when he meets Esau, Esau will be struck by this peace that he is radiating. If on the other hand he's struggling with himself and in conflict with himself and he's afraid, a very different kind of relationship will develop. And that Esau will look down on him and mistreat him. Yeah? So Jacob then is wrestling with his fears. He has to overcome himself and find a deep inner peace before he can go and meet his brother Esau. And then Jacob went on bowing himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. So why did Esau do that? What is Jacob doing such that Esau is moved to do this?
By showing respect and showing
Repentance.
Apologize.
repentance.
Think about it a bit more.
Dismissed him.
What's the meaning of what Jacob has done here? What has Jacob done? He did 2 things.
Humbling himself.
He humbled, okay, how did he humble himself?
Bowing, giving everything, bowing down.
Okay, it's 2 things. He sent lots of gifts to his brother. Gifts represent what?
Creation.
Wealth.
Well,
And he bows down to his brother 7 times.
oh.
Okay. Now where do you hear about wealth and bowing down to the sons of your mother bow down before you?
Oh, the blessing.
Yes. That the blessing that Jacob stole from Esau was wealth and power. May the sons of your mother bow down before you. What Jacob is doing here, he's returning to Esau the blessing he stole from Esau. He's giving Esau wealth, half of everything he has, and he's enacting the blessing that he stole. He's returning the blessing by enacting it. Jacob is bowing down to Esau 7 times. In bowing down to Esau, his older brother, he's giving Esau back the blessing that he stole. Does that make sense? He doesn't go and say to Esau, I'm really sorry about what happened 21 years ago, will you forgive me? Restoration is returning things to the way they were supposed to be before something went wrong. What went wrong? Jacob stole Esau's blessing. Restoration is giving the blessing back. Giving the blessing back means wealth and bowing down to your older brother. That's what the blessing was. The sons of your mother bow down before you. So Jacob is bowing down to his older brother. Jacob is being a good younger brother. Jacob is finally realizing who he is. Yeah? He's becoming, instead of trying to be somebody else, chasing after his older brother, wanting his older brother's blessing, this and this, he's realizing, actually, I'm the younger brother. I need to be a good younger brother and treat my older brother in the way that he's supposed to be treated. And then the conversation is really interesting. What do you mean by this company which I met, all these sheep? Jacob said, to find favor in the sight of my Lord, looking up to great respect. Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. Jacob says, I pray you, if I found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. But truly to see your face is like seeing the face of God. With such favor you receive me. Accept, I pray you, my gift that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. There's much more to the conversation than this, I just edited it out. We can see here, to see your face is like seeing the face of God. Jacob's being like a good younger brother, looking up, admiring, hero worshipping his older brother. See your face like seeing the face of God. Yeah? Accept this gift, because God has dealt graciously with me. In other words, look, he's not boastful. He's not saying, look, I've worked really hard, I've earned all this stuff, I'm going to give you some of it. No, he's really humble. God dealt graciously with me. Yes? He's been a really humble younger brother, a good younger brother. Does that make sense? And so that's why Esau could read what was going on. He understood, oh, finally I've got my younger brother back. Finally my younger brother has come back to me as a good younger brother. He's restored the mistake that he's made. So of course Esau's heart is melted and he goes and embraces and loves his younger brother. Esau was Esau, he wasn't a bad person. He just wanted to be treated the way he's supposed to be treated. Yeah? So Jacob then, did he make it easy or hard now for Esau to overcome his fallen nature?
Easy.
Easy. So Abel should make it easy for Cain to overcome his fallen nature. Yes? By being a good younger brother. That makes sense? It's the way it's supposed to work. So Jacob then restores his mistake. He realizes he wasn't a good younger brother. He understands he did something wrong and he hurt his older brother. So at the risk of his life, he returns the blessing he stole. He gives Esau gifts. He bows down to his older brother 7 times, becomes a good younger brother. He becomes lovable and also worthy of respect. And so this is what this whole business is about. There was 2 very famous brothers who died not very long ago in Britain. One was called Clement Freud, and one was called Lucian Freud. They're both grandsons of,
Sigmund.
that's the one, Sigmund Freud. One was a great artist, Lucian Freud, and one was an MP and a cook and media personality, Clement Freud. One, I can't remember which one died first. Remember? Lucian, maybe. One of them died. And, very famous person, journalists went along and they found, one journalist noticed his brother wasn't there. And he wondered, why isn't Lucian's brother here? Or Clement's brother here, I can't remember which way it was now. And so he goes off and he interviews him and says, oh, I noticed your brother died, why didn't you go to his funeral? And the brother replied, it never occurred to me. And then he said, why not? Well, when we were teenagers, 17 or 18 or 19, we had an argument and a dispute about something, and I can't honestly remember what it was about, but we didn't speak to each other. And then we went to university. He went to this university, I went to that university. We didn't meet each other. It became, as the years went by, it became much more difficult to pick up the phone or to write. We just drifted apart. Yes? And we haven't actually met for the last, 50 or 60 years. So when he died, I had no feeling for him. It didn't even occur to me to go to the funeral. Because you know what I'm saying?
Drifted apart.
We drifted apart. Okay? So easily could have happened with Jacob and Esau. Jacob would have thought, oh well, if that's how Esau fails, he can't forgive me after all these years, he's still bearing a grudge. Well, okay, let's just leave it at that. But Jacob, though, was willing and wanted, at the risk of his life, to restore the relationship with his brother. He felt this is really important. Not only did he have it on his conscience, I've stolen my brother's blessing, I have to return it, but also he wanted to be reconciled with his brother, to make up again. Does that make sense? Really important. So when we talk about being a tribal Messiah, that's really all it's about. You just go around trying to make it up with your relatives. For example, my mother, she had two sisters, and she always got on really badly with her sisters. One of them was 2 years younger, and whenever we met, Aunt Joan, it was always my mother and Aunt Joan always going, fighting with each other. I never understood why. Anyway, my mother had a younger sister, about 10 years younger, who lived in Israel, and so I only met her once in my life. Anyway, so one day I went to Israel because I went with this Meppy Providence, and I thought, oh, okay, I have an aunt there. I've only ever met her once. But anyway, she's my aunt. I'll phone her up, see if I can go and see her. So I managed to find her phone number, phoned her up, said, it's William, can I come and see you? What could she say? She can only say, yes, because I'm her nephew. Yeah? If I was just somebody she'd met 30 years before, casually, you can't do that. But she's my aunt, she's my relative, she can only say yes, because it's a blood relationship. Anyway, so I went to stay with my aunt, and then she started telling me all the family history from her point of view. And she told me about my mother and my other sister, my other aunt. And she said, something which I knew, he said, your mother always lies about her age. I said, yeah, I know, she's always lied about her age. Even to the extent that it caused, real problems at the end. Anyway, and my aunt told me, once your mum and your aunt, they went to a dance. And on the door it said, nobody, minimum age 18. And your mum, who at that stage was 20, she lied and she said she was 18. And the man on the door knew that her sister was younger. And so, Joan didn't get into the dance. So my mother went to the dance and left her sister standing at the door, having to go home. You understand? Okay. Complicated, yes? Really? Okay, so that sort of thing my mother did quite a few times. Okay. And so that became the sort of history from when they were teenagers into the 20s, all sorts of other things my aunt told me about this. Anyway, so I realized, okay, my mother really wasn't a very good sister. Anyway, when my grandparents died, that's my mother's parents died, then my one aunt is blind. My one is 2 years younger than my mother, she's blind. And the other one lived in Israel. So basically when my mother closed up the house, my mother took everything for herself. All the Persian carpets, all the furniture, the furniture she gave to her sister because she didn't want it. But all the ornaments and everything, all the photographs, everything. And so my aunt in Israel said, look around the house, I don't have a single thing here from my parents' house. Not a single photograph, not a single thing, because your mother took it all. So I was having to listen to all this stuff, and digest all this stuff, from my aunt. And loads of other things as well. Anyway, so my aunt then, she's telling me, well, when I was a child, my mother, she used to have this set of china, and there's one particular set of china that she had, it was from Japan, and she bought it from lady so-and-so, and I always loved it, but my mother would never let me touch it. I loved that china, but my mother would never let me touch it. And I thought, I have all that. And I realized, I said to her, I've got that china. It's in a cardboard box in my garage. because, you know, my mother moved house, I ended up with a lot of my mother's stuff. So I said, okay, I'll arrange to give it to you. And so it just so happened, I was there for some project, I can't remember which one it was now, and it so happened my son was going to Israel a couple of months later to support the SDF project. So I said to my son, so I took all the china, packed it up in a suitcase, gave it to my son, and said, can you go and give it to my aunt? And so he did, and he met my aunt and my cousin, and anyway, so my aunt's really happy. And then she took it out, unpacked it all, and then she phoned me up, and she was like a little girl, so excited that after 60, at least 60, 70 years later, finally she was able to get a hand on this china, which she loved as a girl, and she always wanted to touch one, and she was so excited about it, okay? And I felt, yes, this is one thing I did to try to restore something in the relationship with my mother and her sisters, yes? And her, etc., etc. So that's, I realized, okay, that's all it is to be in the tribe of Messiah. You just try to go around listening to family problems and think, okay. I realized my aunt, she just needed someone representing my mother to listen to all this stuff, yeah, she had on her chest for all these decades, yes? And I just did, I just listened. I didn't try to defend my mother, I just listened. It's nothing to do with me, it's my mother. I just got to listen as if I were my mother, patiently, apologize and understand it and ease her heart. And so that was it is. So I'm sure in all our families, there are all these kind of things and broken relationships, all kinds of reasons. You know, when we joined, first year we joined, you know, our parents are not usually very happy about it. There's all kinds of stuff that needs to be restored and resolved, yes? And that's the sort of thing one does. That's part of what being a tribe Messiah is. You just go around and try to repair the relationships in one family, in one's community. The same in the community as those of people, our friends, they left. You know, it's nice to go pick up the phone, visit them 10, 20 years later, talk about old times, listen to this and this. And, yeah, so many things that people have got in their heart they want to get out, to be resolved and restored, yes? And that's all it is really. Recognizing, as Jacob did, I made a mistake. Even after 20 years, I need to go and put it right. I said something that offended somebody. Even after all these years, I really need to go and apologize and to make up. Yes? No point repenting to God. God can't forgive you for the things you do. The only person who can forgive you is the person who, you know, whom you hurt or offended. Make sense?
Yes.
So these are incredibly practical things. And so this then made this lasting foundation. Jacob established a pattern for the natural voluntary subjugation of Satan by winning Esau's heart and respect. It's a pattern followed by Joseph, who is Jesus and father. Abraham's family established the heavenly tradition, God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, the basis of 3 great kingships and all that. Okay, so this is, you know, if Jacob could do this, why is it so difficult for us to do the same sort of thing that Jacob did at the risk of his life after all these years? Why is it so difficult for our own spiritual community to put itself back together again? Yeah? The pattern for restoration was established successfully, victoriously by Jacob and Joseph. Yes, they did it. Yeah. What's all this business about H1, Sean and Preston and a whole lot of them not being able to make peace with each other? Is anybody going to kill them? No. Compared to what Jacob restored, and later, as we'll talk about, Joseph restored, what's going on in the true family, to be perfectly honest, it's a piece of cake. Yeah, piece of cake. Easy to restore compared to the incredible challenges that Jacob and later Joseph went through. That make sense?
Yeah. Without the principle.
They understood the principle better than we do.
Okay. Without having it, you know,
It's not, for them it's not written down, for them it's
Right.
written down in their heart, in their conscience. They practiced and put these things into practice, and yes, we can see what principles they were following, but they were great. Yeah, the problem is, as I said yesterday morning, the problem is we don't understand these stories properly. We mistold these stories, and everybody thinks, you know, Esau bowed down to Jacob. Sorry. Older brother is always the older brother. younger brother is always the younger brother. You can't change that. You know, supposing David Cameron, who's a Prime Minister of Britain, he's got, I can't remember. Anyway, assuming, if he's got an older brother and an older sister, and they get together for Christmas, can David Cameron behave like the Prime Minister when he's at the Christmas, when he's having the family Christmas? What will his older brother and sister do? What will they do?
Tell him to be quiet.
Yeah, shut up, little boy. They'll mock him and they'll make fun of him and they'll put him in his place. You know what I'm saying? You know, your older brother or your older sister is always your older brother or your older sister. You have to behave like a good younger brother or sister. And if Jacob had behaved like a good younger brother or sister, he would have become the head of the family. But when Jacob, even if Jacob then became the elder brother, he became the head of the, he became the elder brother, he's still the younger brother. In English, do you have the same in Swedish, difference between elder and older?
No.
You don't understand the difference?
Elder is the brother. Older is just I'm older than you.
Older is just by age,
Right.
elder is by respect. So Jacob could become the elder brother, but he could never become the older brother.
Right.
Yes?
Yeah.
So he could have become the elder brother because Esau would have said, you're better than me, you should become the next head of the family. So he's becoming the elder, but still, Esau's the older. Yes? And Jacob would have had to treat him in the same way. Yeah? They work together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Really important, these sort of things between brothers and sisters and everything. And so I just think, you know, we misunderstood these stories and didn't tell them the right way. And so, you know, we ended up with certain problems. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and then after the, we'll have a break, and then after the break, I've actually stopped on time, we will go through the final story, which is about Joseph.